and welcome. So today I'm going to show you how I needle felted this cute boo sign all ready for Halloween. I'm really pleased with the way this turned out, and I'm going to show you exactly how I did it step by step. We're going to learn how to needle felt letters using pipe cleaners as a frame. I'm going to show you how I made the curls to go on top of the pumpkins and how I needle felted the bows, created the web detail and made the mini pumpkins. If you enjoy this, please don't forget to hit that like, and if you want to see more like this, please make sure you hit the subscribe too. Okay, so now I'm going to show you what I used to make this. So to make our boo sign, I've got three pipe cleaners. Doesn't matter about the colour of them really, because they're going to be covered. I've got some core wool, I've got some white wool, I've got some pinks because I'm going to go with a bit of a pink Halloween theme for this, and some black. I've also got to hand a selection of other colours that I might need, and of course you're going to need a needle felting mat, a section of needles and some scissors. Okay, so to start I'm going to grab my pipe cleaners. I'm going to find my halfway point, and then I'm going to do halfway point again, and then a halfway point between that, and that's going to be the base. And then I'm going to bend this in and twist it round the middle. Do the same with this one, fold it in half again, and then this part in half again, and then we're going to shape this part of our bee and fold that in two, and then I'm going to use these and create an O. Now these, so you just need to work on the size. Obviously these are going to be a bit longer. Wrap those back in on themselves, and then decide if you want a round O like that, or if you want more of a oval O, which is what I think I'm going to go for. Get the rough shape that you want and do the same with the other one. And then once you're happy with your shaping of them all, I'm going to grab my mat. We'll give it a bit of a clean in a minute. Grab my core wool. Just set these two off to one side, and then all you want to do is use your core wool and just wrap this round your boo or your bee. And then we're going to just felt this into place. Just trying to make sure it's sort of an even thickness all the way round, and that you're keeping a shape that you're happy with. Right, and I'm just going to keep doing this until all of my letters are covered. Once you've got all of your letters all covered in the core wool, next up it's time to grab some of our white, and we're just going to grab some of this and wrap it round and basically cover all of the core wool in the white. And we're just going to cover all of the core wool with the white wool, making sure it's evenly covered, and building up our letters. When I'm felting this on, as much as the rest of this I'm going to try and make rounded, along the bottom I want to try and keep that flattish because it's going to stand up when it's finished. So now I'm just going to continue with this until all of the letters are covered. So now all of my letters are covered in the white wool, as you can see, and they've all been given a nice flat bottom. So they do actually all stand up. Next up, we're going to move on to making a few little decorations for these. And to do this, I'm going to start with curling some wool, because I'm going to make some little pumpkins, some pink pumpkins to sit on here. And I'm going to give these some little curly bits of wool. So I'm going to pop these off to one side. And here I've just got some warm tap water. I've got a skewer and I've just got some washing up liquid. So I'm going to pop this in the warm water. You don't want it too wet. You do want it wet, but you don't want it absolutely dripping. And then you're just going to twist it between your fingers and pull it out a bit. And move your way down, twist and pull it out. Twist and pull. Oops. And then once you've worked your way to the end and you feel that it's all even, I'm going to pop the water off to one side, grab a skewer, wrap your ball around the skewer and then just twist and turn. And then once you get to the end, I'm going to grab a bit of fairy liquid on our fingers, rub it through your fingers, and then just rub this over the curls. So now I've made this one in the darker pink. I've also made a skewer with the lighter pink. You're not going to need too much for this project. In fact, I've probably got more than enough here. And I'm going to pop these off to one side and leave these to dry while I crack on with decorating the boo. Okay, so now I'm going to make some little dark pink and light pink pumpkins out of these. And I'm also going to make probably a cobweb, I'm thinking to go there, and maybe even a little bow. So I'm going to pop these just in front of me. I'm going to start by grabbing some of my dark pink. Roll this into a ball, grab my needle and start felting this, but I only want like a half ball shape, so I'm going to work it over this way to try and keep it rounded, but not the underneath side. Peel that off my mat. I will just go round on this side, but just to keep it flat. And then come back to the front, continue working on that pumpkin shape. I mean, once you're happy, that's quite firm. Check it against the size, that's about right. I'm going to grab my finer needle and just try and get rid of some of the fluffiness on it. Neaten it up a little bit. And then I'm going to grab my fine needle. I'm going to start from the top and I'm just going to go slowly around in a half circle shape and try and put in the pumpkin grooves. And basically all I've done is I put my line in, and once I was happy with it, I've just gone back over it a few times just to create the definition. And now I'm going to do one on the other side. And then once you're happy with your grooves, we just neaten it up again round the outside. Check it again. I'm quite happy with the shape of that. And then I'm going to pop that off to one side. I'm going to grab some of my light pink, but with my light pink, I actually want this one to be a little bit smaller. So I'm going to roll this into a ball and do exactly the same. Might just add a little bit more in the centre there to make it a bit more domed. You do have to be careful with your fingers with these because they are small, so they are a little bit fiddly. And you do get close to your fingers. And then once you're happy, move that needle out the way. Go around it again with your finer needle to neaten it up. And I'm going to do the same with putting in my grooves. Peel it off. Let's do the other side. And then neaten it up. And then check these. I think they'll sit about there. And I'm going to grab some black wool. Oops. Some little thin pieces. And I might make a cobweb, I think, to go through the middle here. So I'm going to start that. Let's pop those off from under here. And work that out. And then grab another bit, twist. Again, I'll start that from the triangle point here, pull it through the other side. Might grab a little bit more and thicken that up a little bit. A bit thin there, I think. And then just position it where you want it and then secure it into place. Neaten them up in a bit. And then push that in there, twist it round. And I'm going to join another piece there. I think I might want to make this come out a bit further down here. So I'm going to add another one in there and bring it round. And then use this excess bit, I think, to match up there. And I am happy with the cobweb. So if you want to just, it's up to you how, if you decide to leave any fluffy bits. I quite like the look of that because I just think cobwebs do have bits like that. So I'm going to put my pumpkins on here and I'm actually going to secure these. You just need to decide if you want them at a little bit of an angle, which I think I'm going to go for. And then I'm just going to grab my fine needle and work round the edge, poking this on to the bee. And then we can just go through your grooves again, poking that right through to the bee. And then once you're happy that's secured on, I'm going to grab my other little one and decide where I want that. I'm going to have that sitting at a bit of an angle as well. secure this in exactly the same way, going around the edges and then back through the groove. And then obviously you just make sure that you keep the end flat. And then I think I'm going to make a little bow to sit on it. So to do this, I'm going to grab some of my light pink. Grab my needle, try and felt this into a strip, peel it off, felt the other side. I'm going to turn both sides into the middle and then attach those and bring in the middle part. Grab my finer needle now, it's a bit more taking its shape. And then once you're happy, I'm going to grab a bit of the dark pink. Put a strip through the middle. So now I've felted my bow. I'm going to grab my scissors and neaten it up a bit, just to get rid of them little fluffy bits that are around the edges. Right, then I'm going to grab my bee and just decide where I want that to sit. And I think I'm just going to pop it on just about here. So I'm going to grab my finer needle and then I'm just going to press it in through the dark pink bit. Go, and that's attached. So I'm going to create another 2 of the dark, 2 of the light pinks and another bow and pull off some small pieces to go onto both of the O's while I'm waiting for my curls to dry, and then I'll come back and we'll attach them all onto here, decide where we're going to place them and add our curls. Right, so now I've made all of my little pumpkins and bows and got all my black strips. It's time to start putting it all together. I'm just going to grab my little needle again and I'm going to put these in the same sort of place on both of the letters. Now attached, grab my little pink one, decide where I want that to sit, that's attached. Then I'm going to grab my piece of black, decide where I want that to start, which is going to be about there, poke that right in there, and then twist and place that where I want it to sit. Then just go over this to secure it into place. Got a bit of excess there, so I will trim that off. Do the same, grab another bit. I'm just going to attach the bow right there. Again, I'm just going through the middle several times just to attach it. And there we've got our B and our O. And then I'm just going to do my other one so it's the same. And then it'll be on to adding our curls. Okay, so now our letters are all done. Next up, we've just got to add our curls onto our pumpkins. And my curls have dried. If yours haven't, a little tip, if you want to dry them a bit quicker, is you can just run the hairdryer over them and that will speed up drying time. Once they're dry, just push them off the skewers, and as you can see, we've got some nice springy curls there now. Same with the dark pink. And then pop your skewers off because we can use those again another time. Now, I am going to grab my light pink, and then yeah, just decide how long you want your curls to be. I'll be quite happy with that. So I'm going to trim that off, grab my needle, felt that in to the top of the pumpkin. When you trim them, you do have to bear in mind that they are gonna, the size of the curls will shrink a bit. And there you go, that is attached, and I'm quite happy with that. If you want, you can always just, if you want to just for it to sit down on your pumpkin a bit, you can just pop your needle in there a couple of times to attach it to the pumpkin so it just sort of holds it in place. And then I'm going to, in fact, I'll do all the light pink ones first, I think. And then I'm going to grab the darker pink. That's a bit long. And put that where I want it there. So that's a bit longer than I would like, so I think I'm going to go for about that length. And there you go. If you're happy with, now you've got all your curls on, that you've got enough, then you're all done. And that is how simple it is to make our boo sign. Go. I'm pleased with the way this turned out. If you give this a go, I hope you're pleased with the way yours turns out too. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments how you got on. Thank you.